Probably need to do one of those here. Especially if it's good on the back. I don't have a whole lot of back issues, but the wife does, so she'd probably enjoy that. But hopefully, hopefully Steve didn't stick his finger in a socket or something. I don't know what happened there, but hopefully he'll be back on here in a minute when he gets back around there to him. So, yeah, I've been trying to mow all week. I haven't gotten it done yet. I need to get it done tomorrow because it is supposed to rain all weekend. So I'm just going to have to make myself get out there and do it tomorrow. But it doesn't take all that long. But garden looks like it's doing well. Some stuff coming up. My pickle bushes, my cucumber pickle bushes are coming up. Got some other stuff coming up. If I can keep stuff out of it, I think the darn squirrels keep getting in there and wanting to dig stuff up. So I had to put a few nettings across a couple of beds or whatever. But anyway, that's what's been going on here. So sounds like an interesting deal there with the chicken livers at the lunch. I guess Steve won out on the amount that he got. And good deal, Cliff, on your walk on the Appalachian Trail. That sounds good. That's some elevation there you gained in 2 miles. So good job. So over to you, WB4NKL, KO4CTM.
Yeah, KO4CTM, it's WB4NKL. Yeah, I try to do that every once in a while. I've done that same walk a bunch of times. It starts out at river level, and it's about a steady climb up for 2 miles. And some good views. Sent Brandon a picture there looking out over the river and the railroad trestle. Let's see, I got a couple trips coming up. Got one next week, Cutstown, Pennsylvania, antique radio meet. I decided not to go, but the guys I used to go with are short a driver, so I guess I'll go with them and help drive. And then I got Xenia the next weekend, so it's gonna be a busy month here with trips and everything. What an Amy, getting all that work done. Linda, she does mow the yard sometimes. If I'm not around, she'll tackle it and get it done. But if I'm here, she usually leaves it up to me. And good deal on the pickle bushes. I was telling Linda about that, Jim, and she said she might look around and see if she can find one and try it. We usually set out some cucumbers, and she set out some peppers and that kind of stuff. Gonna plant some green beans this year. We hadn't been doing that. I plowed her up a strip to set out some beans, so we'll have a few vegetables. Won't starve to death if it worse comes around. Steve, we've given you plenty of time to get back on the air, so hopefully you're back. N4LQ, it's WB4NKL.
Okay, WB4NKL, N4LQ. I didn't know I was off the air. And I heard Jim say something about it. I'm like, did I miss a turn or what? But I was working on my video stream. I looked and noticed that I didn't have any audio, so this whole time it got zapped out, and it was just garbage going out. And so now it's not garbage anymore. It's good material. I can't figure out what happened, but I reset it and everything started working again. It's one of the weird things about the SDR and software and computers. You never know what they're going to do, but you can blame everything on them. Well, it's amazing. Terry is coming home. I'd never heard of anybody spending that much time in the hospital and surviving. That's how long has he been in there? Like 3 months, or well, not the hospital, but rehab or whatever they call it. I guess they call it rehab. My dad spent some time in rehab, and he didn't much like it. But one time he broke his hip, and they put him in hospital and operated, put a pin in it, and then they sent him to rehab, and he didn't like it. He'd call and say, they won't let me have a phone, and unless I pay $10 for it, and I am not going to pay $10 for a phone. This place is so expensive, that should be included. And then a few days later, he called up my cousin to come and get him, and he broke out, and they tried to stop him. Mr. Ellington, stop. You're not discharged. He said, don't worry about it, I'm leaving. So he just walked out the door. It's against the doctor's order. And he just went home and took it easy, and he was fine. But they want him to stay in there. You know how it is. So he was contrary sometimes. W4GUZ N4LQ.
KZ4B breaking. KZ4B, you'll come after Cliff. I tell you what, the nursing facilities can really lay it to you. It was a crazy amount when my grandmother was in there, about $8,000 a month. And thank goodness she and Grandpa was trusting and smart enough to turn all of her estate and assets over to my mother, so they didn't get to take any of those. But yeah, poor Terry, I reckon his insurance quit paying April the 1st at $300 a day, so at least this was a short month. You can do the math on that. Hopefully he'll give him about $5 every time the bill comes, and somebody else will have to worry about it. But yeah, glad he's back home. And yeah, computers and RF and all that don't really intertwine without some good preparation. I had a time here at first with the Flex, but I finally put enough chokes on everything, and I had more trouble with the Ethernet cable than anything. But let's see, I've got one on each end. The computer down here is hardwired. Everything else is wireless, but I had to put a big ferrite core down here, and I don't know how many turns I've got. And then again up at the router. About 90% of the time it works flawlessly, but there's still that 10% chance that something may go wrong. And Cliff, good deal on the garden. We've decided this year we're tending to the garden. We've plowed it and put copious amounts of cow manure on it. I'm just gonna let it sit this year. I'm gonna probably, I'm sure I'll end up with some tomato plants and probably in buckets on the porch, and I'm sure I'll have some cucumber, or at least one cucumber plant and the squash plant, because I do enjoy those. But we've got several years worth of canned goods we need to eat up before they go bad. I think we're up to 2000. I may have some 2019 left over. Most of it's 2020. And that's fine with me. That's one less thing I have to worry about this year. And yeah, I was up there trying to get the remnants of that dipole down, trying to get it unhung off the dead, broke off limb of that hickory that that's probably what broke off and took the antenna down. But I was laid back with every bit of my strength, about probably 30 degrees, pulling, had the paracord wrapped around my hand 10 or 15 times, pulling and pulling, and then it went snap, and the copper wire broke and sent the little piece of PVC insulator along with it, like you'd shot it out of a cannon. And thank the Lord I had my hand where it was, but it hit my forearm right above, or right below my elbow, and I've still got a huge pump knot and a big bruise place. It's sticking up. I don't know. It's probably sticking up now. I'm looking at it a half an inch. If that would have hit me in the throat or the side of the face, I'd probably be in the hospital right now. But so when that happened, I quit. But hopefully tomorrow I can get that back going. And well, that's the story from here. I'll say again, it's been a beautiful day, for sure, and not really looking forward to 6 or 7 days of a chance of rain coming up, but it is spring. At least we're not living in Oklahoma or Nebraska. I'm glad we're not in Tornado Alley, and it surprises me that the folks build back right where they were, where their home was destroyed. I'm glad that's not too big of a threat. It could happen. I'm sure it could happen where you're at, Cliff, but at least you got some mountains to break things up. Anyway, KO4 CTM. I'll hang in here for one more, but supper is a calling. W4GUZ. W4GUZ in the group. Very good, Brandon. Yeah, well, I'm glad that you you didn't wind up getting overly hurt there. I've done stuff like that, boy. You be pulling on something and it let loose, and you know, it either comes back and whacks you, or you wind up going down, and either way it could be a bad deal. So glad you escaped that. So good evening to you, John. Not really a whole lot else going on here. Cammie and I, we went as soon as she got off work and ate at the little local Mexican restaurant here in Liberty, over in Liberty, North Carolina. That was our dinner, and now we're just kind of hanging out. So I'll pass it on to you, Cliff. I'll hang in for probably at least one more myself. WB4NKL, KO4CTM.
Yeah, KO4 CTM, it's WB4NKL. Yeah, the tornadoes are scary. We don't get them too often here, but they have been known to hit over here, especially at the foot of the mountain. But usually the mountains protect us. Last time that they come through, they sort of split, and I had tornadoes, or a high wind. I don't know if it was actually tornado. I guess it was tornadoes south of me and north of me, and it sort of split right here, and we escaped. So one of these days we might not be so lucky. Hello to John. John sounded good. I understand that maybe you didn't fire so well on the chicken livers today, according to Steve. Somebody beat you out. Steve, I guess. And there was a question here. My buddy gave me a Meritron 811 amplifier there today. It's not the H. And I was thinking, you said you were converting a an 811 over to an H. Is that the only difference? Is the one tube, or are the transformers the same? Go ahead, John. KZ4B is WB4NKL.
Okay, WB4NKL and the group KZ4 Bravo. Fine business. Hello to Brandon, Jim, Cliff, and of course Steve. Steve was telling the truth. He blew me in the weeds as far as chicken liver consumption. I lost my title. But I went in first and took the last remnants of an early plate or tray of them, and there weren't many livers left. And so I try not to go back for seconds, primarily, I guess, because I'm lazy. And so I had one plate, and God only knows how many plates Steve had. It was impressive. So I tip my hat to the new champ. Absolutely. Cliff, you would ask about the difference between AL811 and AL811H. I don't have an AL811, but I've got an 811H, and I know that I'm pretty sure the AL811 with three originally 811s, could be 572Bs, had low enough interelectrode capacity that they didn't have to be neutralized. So the H added a tube and added neutralization, because there's so much interelectrode capacity with 4 parallel tubes that you got to neutralize it. Or you can have a swamping resistor on the input, but then your drive gets to be well beyond 100 watts. So that's the only difference I know of. I think the power transformers are the same, because they try to, keep the inventory of different types of transformers down. For example, I picked up a AL800 that has the 3CX800 in it, just one tube, and it's got the same transformer as the AL800H that has two 3CX800s. And in fact, they have to have a dropping resistor to get the proper filament voltage with just one tube. When they go to two tubes, they get rid of the dropping resistor, and the output of the filament winding of the transformer to two tubes is right on the money. And they do that a lot when they have different combinations. So you do need to add neutralization or swamping resistor if you go from an 811 to an 811H. But no big deal. And the hole, I think, is already, well, it's not a hole, it's a socket. But the space is there, so it's a pretty easy swap or upgrade. So, on that note, I will feed it back to Steve, the champ. N4LQ in the group KZ4B, over.
Okay, anybody else want to check in? I'm only the champ by default. I mean, I didn't have any choice. I had to ensure you didn't overeat, so I just took most of the chicken livers, and that fat woman came along later and took more than her share. Unless, well, maybe it was her share, I don't know. But then you were last. But right after that, John Weiner came in with a big pile of them and said they just put some fresh ones out. But you didn't go back. I had plenty. Let's see, I also got some I think I got some other. No, I didn't. I didn't get any other meat. Those chicken livers they make are crispy and, well, they're just like eating candy, you know. So Mir had his share of vegetables. He had a huge pile of vegetables. He always gets like 2 plates and goes in there and fills them up so high that well, I don't know how he walks with those plates, but he's a vegetarian and he won't get any meat, so he gets all these vegetables. And I mean, he wipes out that salad bar. His problem now is electrical in his barn where his shack is. He's got a short somewhere, and this all happened like 2 weeks ago and he still hadn't fixed it, so he can't turn the breaker on without it tripping. He said he'd try to get to it this weekend because it's raining. It's a good time to work on electrical things. Mexican food, Jim, you got me thinking. I think maybe that's where we're going to end up tomorrow, is El Acapulco here in Shelby. We usually go once a week, and the food is just always good. But they opened up a new Mexican restaurant on Dixon. It's where, what was that? Not Jerry's, but one of those type places, you know, Frisch's, Jerry's, and I can't think of the name of it, but it went belly up. They moved out, so this Mexican outfit took over. It's the El Casa Azur, which is blue. I think Azur is blue in Spanish. The House of Blue, which is a weird name for anything, but that's what they chose. And it's a pretty place, and I've seen pictures of the interior. But apparently when you go in, from the pictures I saw, there's this gigantic skeleton that the first thing you see is a skeleton. And I told my wife, I said, that is an odd thing to have for a restaurant. I mean, that implies somebody starved to death or something. So I don't know, I'm just not all that anxious to go there. It sounds kind of strange. And I sent you a link. I was sitting here surfing for 811 versus 811H Cliff, and WHJI has a big write-up on it, all the ins and outs, so you might want to read that. I don't know, but you've already got it, so it doesn't matter anyway, does it? I'm glad you got it free. It sounds like you got it free. A lot of free stuff going around. I ended up bringing home a Johnson VFO, just the regular 122. I set that thing next to the Johnson Mobile, and it is a perfect match. Same height. And it looks just like it. Actually, it's a better idea for, a fixed station than the, I don't know, it's got the power jack on the back of the transmitter, so it'll hook up the same way as the mobile version will. Over to you, Mr. GUZ, unless you've gone to eat. W4GUZ, N4LQ.
N4LQ, W4GUZ. Yeah, I don't know about the skeleton in the Mexican restaurant, but I've got homemade Mexican that's starving me to death, so I'll make this my last one. And I'm assuming you went to the Golden Corral, if I may be mistaken, but we don't have that many choices up here, as Cliff knows. I do have a pretty good buffet at the Western Sizzlin' that the wife and I've now that we've come out of there. Well, anyway, we didn't do much after our daughter died up until first of this year, and we both kind of were coming out of our shells. So we've had their buffet a couple times this year. And then you can always go to China Walk or Tokyo and eat some cat or whatever they fix. I don't know. I've been several times bow fishing, which is merely just a recreational sport. It's not for food, but you go out at night. Amy's cousin, his house actually burnt last month, but he's got this big boat, and it looks like a spaceship coming across the water at night. All these LED lights in the front, or actually all the way around, but I've been on the lake a lot at night, and it's a different story now that I've got my own little boat and going out during the day, and I'm sure I'll learn it, but I've got to find some cheap source of navigation besides Google Maps. It don't work too well in the water, but there at Lake James, you can just about anywhere you put in, you can see portions of the Linville Gorge. But if you go around into a cove and lose sight of the gorge, then I'm lost. Everything looks the same. What Duke Energy doesn't own, everything else has been developed, and every little cove has got a mansion right on the water and one right beside it being built. So everything kind of goes together, but I'm sure I'll get more acquainted with it. I've been on that lake, I counted the other night, twice with my boat, and I think twice with the rescue squad looking for drowned victims, and the rest of the time I've been there at night. But nothing like taking a compound bow with a fishing line attached to it and shooting a 30 or 35 pound carp and reeling it in. But you can't do much with it unless, back to the Chinese restaurants around here, there have been several times that I don't know if he's Chinese or he's Asian anyway, but same guy. You see him at the boat landing, and he's fishing for crappie or something. He's sitting there with a little fishing pole, but we'll come back with anywhere from a half to a full 55-gallon boat of carp, which another present from China. They're pretty invasive, but if he's sitting there, it tickles him to death. So I don't know if he owns a Mexican or a Chinese or a Japanese restaurant in McDowell County or not, but it makes you wonder. I know people that I've read there is a way to fix carp, but man, they're slimy, and just about every time, if the old boy's not there, about halfway back home, we stop beside the road and dump them off the bank. That's all they're good for. So I guess that's it from here. I want to run upstairs before it gets too late. I try to get out there first thing in the morning. So I can get the wife out of the bed on the weekend. She's worked hard. She's worked harder than me today. And try to get that antenna changed out, and may head down to Morganton to the tractor show, or may just mess around here at the house. I think tomorrow looks pretty good. There's a chance of storms here and there, but it's not going to be a total washout. But thankfully, where I got the Connex shipping container, I had to sow a lot of grass seed, and everything's looking good. I probably won't even mow that this year. I'll let it grow up and turn to seed, and probably won't get to that acreage until next year. And Cliff, on the 811, I've had both. And from what I've read, it's probably the link that Steve sent you. I'm pretty sure that the transformers and everything's the same, and you can get just about the same amount out of the 811 if you put 572s in it, if I'm not mistaken. That might be the easy way out, unless you have to buy tubes. I think you can load them up a little more than you can 811s. I like free stuff, and it sounds like at least two of you today's lucked out. 73 from Staggerweed. We'll try to be in here again tomorrow. I'll leave everything as it is here. And let's see, yeah, tomorrow. What is tomorrow? Friday. I'll try to get in here with the 8 o'clock group or the 7:30 group now. It keeps getting earlier and earlier. Over you, Jim. And we'll catch you guys later. KL4CTM, W4GUZ.
W4GUZ, very good, Brandon. 7-3 to you. Have a great evening. Enjoy your dinner. And be careful out there working on that antenna tomorrow. Yeah, well, that's about it from here as well. I was looking at I did see a thing online here about a book. I don't know when it came out, but something you might be interested in, Steve. It's called The Victorian Internet. It's the remarkable story of the telegraph and the 19th century's online pioneers. Sounds like an interesting book. It would be a pretty cool read. It's by Tom Standage. It's called The Victorian Internet. That should be an interesting book. I might have to pick that up and read it. Anyway, I think I'm going to say 7-3 here from Climax as well. Everybody just have a great evening, and I talk to some of you, I hope, in the morning, and others maybe tomorrow evening in here. So I'll say 7-3. So on to you, Cliff, WB4NKL, KO4CTM.
Now, KO4CTM, it's WB4NKL. Okay, Jim, 73s to you and Brandon. Yeah, that's a problem, Steve. All this free stuff. It's hard to turn down free stuff. And the only reason I'm mildly interested in it is because it does have 160. I don't have many amps that does the 160 band. And I guess that would be the easiest route to beef it up a little bit, stick 3 572s in it instead of trying to add another 811. And probably wouldn't know. I know Larry, that's what he runs. He's got an 811 that's got 572s in it. I think he runs his about 175 watts a carrier. The manual here says you can run 400 watts a carrier for 30 minutes. So it's a pretty beefy power supply, sounds like. So I might, what I would be interested in is maybe trying to run about 200 watts a carrier. So I might stick some 572s in there, and that would probably take care of the tube end of it anyway. I guess I'll, getting close to the 9 o'clock hour, I guess I'll go ahead and get out too and enjoyed it. Say 73s. And Brandon started something. So try to catch everybody tomorrow and tomorrow night for sure. Probably in the morning on 3885 also. Go ahead, John. KZ4B, WB4NKL.
Okay, WB4NKL in the group, KZ4B here. Well, 73's to Brandon and Jim, and I guess we're all going here pretty shortly, so that might even include you, Cliff. By the way, Cliff, you're coming in 40 to 45 over 9. You've got the prize for the strongest signal tonight. very impressive. And obviously full quieting, great audio. So I assume you can correct me if I'm wrong that you're on the Johnson 500. If not, let me know what. Doing a great job. Shifting gears, you were talking about Western Sizzling. There's one in Dunn, North Carolina, near Fayetteville, where my wife is from, and they have summer sausage, and to me that is even more delicious than fried chicken livers. I mean, that is just the ultimate. I mean, it's up there with country ham, and I have really pigged out on that and enjoyed every bite. So if you go to a Western Sizzling, check. They don't have it all the time, but see if they have their. Be sure to try their summer sausage. Oh, it's good. Shifting gears again, I got my mowing done yesterday because we went to from the Spectrum coaxial cable to fiber, and they've got to leave it on the top of the ground until somebody can come out and bury it. So I wanted to cut grass before that and hope they'll get out here before I have to cut grass again. I mean, you can move it, but I hate to make a mistake and hit it. It is flagged, but you never know. So, we are tickled pink with the result. We finally gave up on Spectrum. Their maintenance is just, and service stinks. And when the 4 cops were shot in Charlotte, we were down the whole afternoon and most of the evening, so we couldn't even see what was happening on the news. And it's just all too frequent out here. And we're in a neighborhood, but the lines feeding us, we're down a peninsula, and the lines feeding us are long and unreliable. That includes the power line. When Hugo came through, we were without power for 3 whole weeks. Fortunately, I had a generator. My wife was all over me for wasting money buying a generator until Hugo hit, and then she said that's the best thing I ever bought. So all you need is one disaster, and it will make your life so much better, because we're on a well, and you need to be able to flush the toilet, watch TV, listen to the radio. I think I've rambled on my excessive amount as usual, so Steve, tie it up. N4LQ, and if anybody's left, this is KZ4 back to you, and clear.
Yep, everybody signed out but me, and I'm doing the same here. So if Cliff was listening, I would say put a huge fan on that thing and let her rip. All right, well, that's about it for the night, folks. Thanks everybody for checking in. Have a good one, and tomorrow night, same time, same place, here on 1864. This is N4LQ, closing the net. Good night.
John, if you're still listening, I'm running a Globe King 500. The Johnson 500 don't have 160 on it, so this is a Globe King 500. 73's WB4 NKL, now clear.
Sounds great. Danny Hampton, that's what he used back when I was a first beginning general. And he could absolutely walk all over the rest of us. That was K4ITL, if you happen to know him, the blind ham, who recently passed away. 7-3's KZ4, be gone.